We chase happiness through promotions, possessions, and perfect relationships, yet it remains just out of reach. This endless pursuit ties our inner peace to a world we cannot control. 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius offered a different path. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The ancient Stoics engineered a form of happiness built from within, independent of fortune's whims. In this exploration, we will uncover key Stoic principles like the dichotomy of control, the power of cognitive reframing, and the idea that virtue is the only true good. You will learn a practical toolkit for building self-sufficient contentment, no matter your external circumstances. How might your life change if your happiness was truly your own to command? The first step in engineering Stoic happiness is a radical division of what is and isn't yours to command. This is the core principle known as the Dichotomy of Control. It draws a clear, unbreakable line between the territory you govern and the land you merely visit. On one side are your own opinions, your judgments, your desires, and your actions. These are your sovereign domain. On the other side lies everything else, the vast and unpredictable world of external events, the actions of other people, your reputation, even your own body and its health. These are visitors that come and go as they please. The philosopher Epictetus, a former slave who knew the sting of powerlessness better than most, framed it perfectly in his handbook, the Enchiridion. He wrote, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, our impulses, desires, and aversions. Not up to us are our body, our property, our reputation, and our official positions." This distinction is not meant to be a grim resignation, but a profound liberation. Think of it as a fundamental reallocation of your energy. How much time and emotional capital do we spend trying to control the uncontrollable? We fret over a critical comment from a coworker. We rage against a traffic jam. We despair when a long-awaited vacation is ruined by rain. In every case, we are fighting a battle on a battlefield we do not own and can never conquer. The Stoic shift is to stop trying to command the storm and to start building a sturdier ship. Your energy is finite. By ceasing to waste it on what you cannot change, you free up an immense reserve of power to focus on what you truly can, your own character and your response to the world. Consider a simple, modern scenario. You have plans to meet a close friend for dinner, a highlight of your week you were genuinely looking forward to. An hour before, they text to cancel. The immediate, automatic reaction might be frustration, disappointment, even anger. The old path is to fixate on the external event you cannot control, their cancellation. You might dwell on it, replay the message, feel personally slighted. The Stoic path is to immediately apply the dichotomy, their decision to cancel that is not up to you. It is an external event. What is entirely up to you, however, is your judgment of this event and your subsequent actions. You can judge it as a personal insult and let it ruin your entire evening. Or you can judge it as a simple change of plans, accept it without internal complaint, and redirect your energy. You now have a free evening. You could read that book you've been meaning to, cook yourself a nice meal, or call another friend. The event itself is neutral. It is your judgment that colors it with misery or opportunity. Take a moment and think of one recent frustration in your own life. It doesn't have to be major. Perhaps a project at work hit an unexpected snag or someone cut you off in traffic. Now, mentally dissect it. Which parts of that situation were truly within your sphere of command? You likely had no power over the snag itself or the other driver's actions. but your internal reaction, your next move, your focus, that was and always is yours. This simple act of categorization is the beginning of taking back your peace. It is the quiet realization that while you may not be able to stop the waves, you can learn to surf. What if your happiness wasn't determined by events, but by your interpretation of them? This is the profound territory of cognitive sovereignty, the Stoic art of mastering your judgments. The Stoics argued that the world itself is neutral, a sequence of facts. It is the labels we slap onto those facts, the stories we tell ourselves about them, that generate our emotional turmoil. A rainy day is just a rainy day until we judge it as a ruined plan. A critical comment is just a collection of words until we judge it as a personal attack. This ancient insight is so powerful that it forms the bedrock of modern cognitive behavioral therapy, a clinical practice dedicated to the very idea that by changing our thoughts, we can change our feelings. Marcus Aurelius captured this with stunning clarity in his private journal, writing, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your own estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The harm is not in the event, but in the judgment you attach to it, and that judgment is a guest you can choose to dismiss." Consider two colleagues receiving the exact same piece of feedback from their manager. Your presentation lacked sufficient data. One person interprets this judgment as a devastating indictment of their overall competence. They attach a story of failure and inadequacy, which spirals into anxiety and defensiveness. The other hears the same words and interprets them as a simple, neutral observation about one specific presentation. They attach a story of a learning opportunity, a chance to improve for next time. The external event was identical, but the internal judgments were worlds apart, leading to entirely different emotional outcomes. One is weighed down by a self-made burden, while the other walks away lighter and more focused. The event itself had no power until they gave it power through their perception. Think back to a time you completely changed your mind about a situation. Perhaps you initially felt angry about a friend canceling plans, but later learned they were dealing with a personal crisis. In that moment of understanding, the event itself did not change, the facts remained the same. What changed was your judgment of it. The frustration melted away, replaced by compassion. This is cognitive sovereignty in action, a small, personal proof that you hold the key to your own emotional state. It is not about suppressing feelings, but about interrogating the thoughts that birth them. What story are you telling yourself right now, and is it the only one possible? For the Stoics, the only true good is a virtuous character. Everything else is indifferent. This is the cornerstone of their entire philosophy of happiness. While we spend our lives chasing wealth, status, and comfort, the Stoics declared that these things are not good in themselves, they are merely preferred indifference. This term, preferred indifference, is crucial to understand. It means that while it is perfectly natural and reasonable to prefer health over sickness, wealth over poverty, and a good reputation over a bad one, none of these conditions are essential for your happiness or your moral worth. They are tools that can be used well or poorly, but the real good, the only thing that truly matters, is the quality of your character, your wisdom, your courage, your justice, and your self-discipline. Imagine two artists. One is given the finest brushes, the most vibrant paints, and a perfect canvas. The other is given worn-out brushes, faded colors, and a rough piece of wood. The first artist, arrogant and careless, produces a mediocre and soulless piece. The second, with skill and dedication, creates a work of profound beauty. The Stoics would ask which artist achieved the true good. It was not the one with the best tools, but the one who demonstrated excellence of character and action, regardless of their materials. This stands in stark contrast to our modern world, where we are conditioned to believe that the right job title, the right car, or the right number of social media followers will finally make us happy. We are chasing the tools and mistaking them for the masterpiece itself. The Roman philosopher Seneca, in his letters, put it with piercing clarity. He wrote, "What is the happy life? It is peace of mind and lasting tranquility. This will be yours if you possess greatness of soul. It will be yours if you possess the steadfastness that resolutely clings to a good judgment just reached." He is telling us that a good life is measured by the strength and virtue of your inner world, not by the fickle winds of external fortune. Consider a person who, through no fault of their own, loses their financial security. The modern, automatic response might be to see this as a catastrophic failure, a ruin of their life, but a person guided by this Stoic principle would see it differently. While they would certainly prefer to have their wealth, its loss does not touch their core self. Their happiness was never stored in their bank account. It was built on their integrity, their resilience, and their ability to act with justice and courage even in difficult circumstances. They remain content because their self-worth is untouchable, rooted in something no market crash can devalue. Think of a challenge you are facing right now, perhaps a professional setback or a personal conflict. Now, reframe it through this Stoic lens. What would it mean to prioritize your character over your circumstances in this situation? Instead of asking, "How can I get the outcome I want?" ask, "How can I act with courage and integrity right now? How can I demonstrate wisdom in my response?" The goal shifts from controlling the unpredictable world to mastering the one thing you truly can, yourself. The Stoics didn't just endure fate, they learned to embrace it as their greatest teacher. This radical practice is known as Amor Fati, a love of one's fate. It is the ultimate application of cognitive sovereignty, moving beyond mere acceptance to a deep, affirmative love for everything that happens, precisely because it happened. The German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche would later capture this spirit perfectly, writing, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." But its roots are firmly planted in Stoic soil, in the writings of Marcus Aurelius, who constantly reminded himself to welcome every event, not as a disruption, but as raw material for his virtue. He wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. An obstacle is no longer a barrier, it is fuel. This mindset transforms every setback, every piece of bad luck, and every moment of pain into an opportunity for growth." It is the difference between being a victim of your story and being the author who finds meaning in every chapter. Consider the historical example of the philosopher Seneca, who was exiled to the barren island of Corsica by the Emperor Claudius. For 8 long years, he was separated from his life in Rome, his career, and his friends. This was a catastrophic external event, the kind that could break a person. Yet, Seneca did not break. He chose to see his exile not as a punishment, but as an opportunity. He used the solitude and silence to write some of his most profound philosophical works and to deepen his practice of Stoicism. He turned his prison into a study. The external circumstance was brutal, but his judgment of it, his Amor Fati, allowed him to extract strength and wisdom from the hardship. His fate became his teacher. Now, bring this into your own life. Think of one difficult event you have experienced, perhaps a job loss, a difficult breakup, or a period of illness. Your initial judgment likely framed it as a purely negative chapter. But what if you reframed it with the lens of Amor Fati? What did that experience teach you about your own resilience? Did it force you to develop a new skill, to appreciate different aspects of life, or to recognize the strength of your relationships? That hardship did not happen to you, it happened for you, carving out a deeper capacity for strength and understanding within you. Loving your fate is not about passive resignation. It is about active engagement with the raw material of your life, trusting that every single piece is essential to the person you are becoming. Think of your desires as a river. The Stoics teach us to channel them wisely, or they will flood your peace. This is the heart of the discipline of desire, a practice of training your wants to flow only toward what is virtuous and truly within your command. An unchecked river of desire for external things, for more money, for constant praise, for perfect circumstances, will inevitably burst its banks, washing away any chance for stable contentment. Every time you crave something outside your control, you hand a piece of your happiness over to fortune, making yourself its anxious servant. The philosopher Epictetus, who began his life in slavery, understood this form of bondage intimately. He offered a simple but severe formula for liberation, saying, "Freedom is not secured by fulfilling your desires, but by controlling them. When you limit your desires to what you can actually govern, you break the chains that tie your inner state to a world that does not care about your wishes." The goal is not to become a passionless stone, but to direct your passion toward the one thing that can never be taken from you, the strength of your own character. Consider our modern relationship with social media. The desire for likes, comments, and shares is a powerful current. Every notification triggers a small hit of validation, a reward that depends entirely on the actions and approvals of others. When that validation is withheld, the waters of frustration and self-doubt rise. Disciplining this desire does not mean you must abandon the platform entirely, but that you consciously redirect your focus. Instead of desiring likes, you cultivate the desire to express yourself authentically, to share something of value, or to connect genuinely with a few. The action of posting remains, but the desire behind it shifts from an external reward you cannot control to an internal intention you can. This same principle applies to consumerism, where the desire for the next purchase, the newer model, the bigger house, creates a cycle of temporary satisfaction followed by renewed longing. The Stoic asks, does this desire serve my virtue, or does it enslave me to things? Take a quiet moment and bring to mind one specific desire you hold. Perhaps it is the desire for a particular promotion, for a certain person to treat you differently, or for a specific outcome in a situation. Now, honestly examine it. Does its fulfillment depend entirely on your own choices and actions, or does it hinge on factors outside your command? If it is the latter, consider what it might feel like to consciously loosen your grip on that desire, not to abandon the goal, but to release the demanding attachment to its specific result. This small act of letting go is not a loss, it is the first step toward reclaiming the territory of your own mind. Let's take a step back, way back, to see our problems in their true, small scale. This is the essence of the Stoic view from above, a powerful mental exercise designed to shrink our anxieties down to their proper size. The practice involves deliberately zooming out in your mind, first rising above your city, then your country, until you see the whole earth as a pale blue dot, a tiny sphere suspended in the vast, silent expanse of the cosmos. From this cosmic vantage point, your personal dramas, your urgent deadlines, and your social worries are rendered utterly insignificant. This is not meant to diminish your life, but to place it in its true context, fostering a profound sense of humility and connection to the grand tapestry of nature. Marcus Aurelius constantly returned to this perspective in his private meditations. He wrote, "Remember how long you've been putting this off, how many times you've been given a period of grace by the gods and didn't use it. It is high time now for you to understand the universe of which you are a part. and the governor of that universe of whom you constitute an emanation. He reminds us that our brief lives are a fleeting part of a magnificent, eternal whole, and that seeing this can instantly dissolve the trivial concerns that feel so heavy. To bring this down to earth, take a current worry, any source of stress that feels all-consuming right now. Perhaps it is a conflict with a neighbor, a mistake at work, or anxiety about an upcoming event. Now project your mind forward. How much will this specific problem matter to you 1 year from now? Will you even remember the details? Now stretch further. Imagine looking back on this concern from 10 years in the future, or even a century. From that distant point, your entire life, with all its triumphs and heartaches, will be a single chapter in a long-forgotten story. The neighbor's complaint, the work error, the social anxiety, they will have vanished without a trace, their emotional weight dissolved by the relentless flow of time. Try this exercise right now with something that is bothering you. Pick one specific concern and mentally zoom out, seeing it from the perspective of your future self or from the silent, star-filled view of the cosmos. Does its grip on you loosen? Does its perceived importance start to fade? This shift in perspective does not solve the practical problem, but it strips it of its emotional tyranny, returning to you the quiet power to address it with clarity, not with panic. The Stoics found security by regularly contemplating loss. This practice, known as Premeditatio Malorum, is the deliberate rehearsal of misfortune to disarm its power. It sounds counterintuitive, even grim, but its purpose is the opposite of despair. It is a tool to forge a deep and unshakable appreciation for the present moment and to build a fortress of psychological preparedness against the anxieties of an uncertain future. This is not about expecting the worst to happen, but about removing the element of surprise so that if difficulty arrives, you are not shattered by the shock. Seneca championed this exercise with stark clarity. He advised his readers to regularly rehearse poverty, exile, and even death, not to live in fear of them, but to realize they are not the ultimate evils we imagine. He wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. By facing these possibilities in the safe space of your own mind, you drain them of their terror and discover that your core self, your virtue, can remain intact through any storm." Consider a modern application, the fear of losing your job. The common approach is to avoid thinking about it, to push the anxiety down until it becomes a background hum of dread. The Stoic approach is to confront it directly. Sit quietly and vividly imagine the scenario. Picture receiving the news, cleaning out your desk, facing the financial uncertainty. But then continue the narrative. See yourself updating your resume, reaching out to your network, discovering new opportunities you had never considered. The goal is not to make the event pleasant, but to see it as a challenge you are capable of meeting, a plot twist in your story, not the end of the story itself. The same practice applies to relationships. Mentally visualize the absence of someone you love. Feel the weight of that loss fully, not to torment yourself, but to instantly ignite a profound gratitude for their presence in your life right now. It transforms your interaction from something you take for granted into a conscious gift. Take a single moment now. Choose one comfort you currently enjoy, something simple like your health, your home, or the company of a pet. Now close your eyes and vividly imagine your life without it. Do not rush. Let the feeling of absence settle. Then open your eyes and return to the present. Notice the shift, the sudden warmth of gratitude for what was, just moments ago, merely normal. This is the alchemy of Premeditatio Malorum, turning the lead of potential fear into the gold of present contentment. Your mind is an impenetrable fortress, the Stoic ideal of the Inner Citadel. This is not a physical place, but a sanctuary of your own character. built from the unshakable materials of virtue. Its walls are made of your courage, its towers are your wisdom, and its foundation is your justice. From within this stronghold, the chaos of the outside world, the criticism, the failure, the noise, cannot harm you unless you personally lower the drawbridge and let it in. Marcus Aurelius described this perfectly, writing in his Meditations, "Nowhere can a person find a more peaceful and untroubled retreat than in his own soul, so constantly give yourself this retreat and renew yourself." Your soul is your ultimate sanctuary, a place fortune's slings and arrows cannot reach. Think of a public figure, an artist or a leader, who releases a new work to a wave of harsh and unfair criticism. The external event is the barrage of negative reviews and public scorn. A person without an inner citadel feels each word as a physical blow, their sense of worth crumbling under the assault. But a person who has fortified their inner space responds differently. They hear the same criticism, but from within their fortress. They assess it with the virtue of wisdom, asking, "Is there any truth here I can learn from?" They exercise the virtue of courage by refusing to be defined by the opinions of others. Their self-worth, grounded in their own virtuous efforts, remains completely intact. The storm rages outside the walls, but inside there is peace. The citadel stands. What are the walls of your own inner fortress made of right now? Where are the weak points where external chaos, perhaps the stress of a demanding job or the negativity of a particular relationship, seems to seep through? Your duty is to be the constant architect of your own soul, strengthening those walls daily through conscious practice. Every time you choose a reasoned response over a reactive one, you add a stone to the rampart. Every time you act with integrity despite temptation, you reinforce the gate. This is the ongoing work of building a happiness that the world cannot touch. What if having less could actually mean being more? The Stoics proposed a radical form of freedom engineered through voluntary simplicity, a conscious choice to find abundance in what is sufficient rather than chasing the torment of endless excess. This is not about poverty or self-denial, but about strategically reducing your dependencies to make yourself less vulnerable to the whims of fortune. Every luxury you believe you need is another chain that binds your peace of mind to the external world. The philosopher Musonius Rufus, a teacher of Epictetus, argued tirelessly for the value of hard work and a simple life. He taught that difficulty is not an enemy but a trainer, and that luxuries weaken both the body and the mind. He said, "The person who has many possessions is in fact poorer than the one who is free from wanting them." True wealth, he insisted, is measured by how little you need to be content. This philosophy finds a powerful echo in the modern minimalist movement, where individuals intentionally choose to own fewer possessions. They are not rejecting comfort, but discovering that by letting go of the constant need for more, they gain something far more valuable: mental space, clarity, and a profound sense of liberation. They are practicing a contemporary form of Stoic contentment, proving that a life focused on experiences and character, rather than accumulation, is a life of greater richness. This week, choose one small possession or comfort you rely on. It could be a streaming service, your daily takeout coffee, or even the habit of constantly checking your phone. Practice doing without it for just a short, set period, a day or two. This is not a punishment, but a gentle experiment in self-sufficiency. Pay close attention to what arises in that space you have created. Do you feel a sense of lack and anxiety, or do you discover a quiet capacity for resourcefulness you had forgotten? This small act of letting go is a practical rehearsal for a greater freedom, a test to see how much of your happiness is truly built from within. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This stark pronouncement from Marcus Aurelius is the essence of Memento Mori, the Stoic practice of remembering your mortality. It sounds like a dark fixation, but the Stoics saw it as the ultimate tool for illuminating life. It is not a morbid obsession with death, but a fierce and loving insistence on life, a constant whisper that pulls your focus from the trivial to the essential. Marcus Aurelius wrote this reminder to himself in his private journal: "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He was not preparing for an end, he was engineering a better way to live. By holding the finiteness of your time in clear view, every moment gains weight and every choice becomes significant. Imagine you are in a heated argument with a loved one over something utterly insignificant, like a forgotten chore or a careless comment. The conversation spirals, voices rise, and you feel that familiar surge of self-righteous anger. Now introduce the Memento Mori. Imagine, in the midst of that conflict, you received an undeniable reminder that your time with this person was severely limited. How quickly would the anger evaporate? How insignificant would the forgotten chore become? The practice of remembering death instantly reorders your priorities, draining petty grievances of their power and leaving only what truly matters: the love and the connection. This meditation strips away the illusion of endless tomorrows, forcing you to confront a simple, urgent question. What would you do differently today if you knew it was your last? Would you finally have that difficult but necessary conversation with kindness? Would you spend an extra hour playing with your child, fully present instead of scrolling through a screen? Would you let go of a grudge you have been nursing for years? The more pressing question is this: why are you not doing those things right now? The answer is often that we are living under the comfortable, silent assumption that we have all the time in the world. Memento Mori shatters that assumption, not to frighten you, but to free you. It returns the urgency and the integrity to your present actions, reminding you that the opportunity for virtue is always now, in this very moment you are given. While the world reacts with frenzy, the Stoic cultivates a steady inner calm. This is the practice of equanimity, a state of mental composure that remains unshaken by the chaos of external events. It is not a cold, emotionless detachment, but a profound and resilient peace, the quiet eye of the storm. For the Stoics, this calm is not a lucky temperament some are born with. It is a skill deliberately engineered through the consistent application of their principles. It flows directly from the acceptance of the natural order of things, from trusting that events unfold as they must, and from releasing our white-knuckled attachment to specific outcomes we cannot control. Seneca, in his profound essay on the tranquility of mind, offers a beautiful metaphor for this state. He describes the wise person as being like the upper region of the atmosphere, which is always serene and peaceful, while storms and tempests rage far below on the earth. This tranquility is not a gift from the world, it is an achievement of a well-ordered mind. Imagine you are at an airport and your long-awaited flight is suddenly cancelled due to a mechanical issue. The scene around you erupts into chaos. Travelers are shouting at the gate agents, children are crying, and a general mood of frustration and panic fills the air. The automatic, common reaction is to join the frenzy, to feel your own heart rate spike, to become another voice in the angry chorus, desperately trying to control the uncontrollable. The Stoic, grounded in equanimity, experiences the same event from a different inner landscape. They immediately apply the dichotomy of control. The mechanical failure is not up to them. The airline's decisions are not up to them. The reactions of the crowd are not up to them. What is entirely up to them is their own judgment and their subsequent actions. They judge the situation not as a personal catastrophe, but as a simple fact, a part of the natural flow of travel that sometimes includes delays. With this calm acceptance, their energy is freed to focus on what they can actually do. They calmly approach the counter, explore alternative routes, use the unexpected time to read, or simply observe the human drama around them without being swept into its current. They are in the same storm, but their inner world is the serene upper atmosphere Seneca described. The next time you feel that familiar surge of agitation, whether in a traffic jam or a tense meeting, pause for just a single breath. Notice the feeling without immediately becoming it. In that small space between the event and your reaction, you will find the doorway to equanimity. Ask yourself, what part of this can I truly command? The answer is always the same: your judgment and your next action. Choosing calm in that moment is not a passive surrender. It is the most powerful and active step you can take to reclaim your peace. We often judge others quickly, but the Stoics urge us to replace judgment with understanding. This shift is not about excusing poor behavior, but about disarming the anger and resentment that their actions ignite within us. The Stoics believed that no one consciously chooses evil. People act in ways they mistakenly believe are good or necessary for themselves. When someone is rude, selfish, or hurtful, they are operating from a place of ignorance, a flawed understanding of what is truly good. Your judgment of them as a bad person is what causes your suffering, far more than their action itself. Marcus Aurelius offered a constant reminder of this to himself, writing, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil." He did not write this to fuel his cynicism, but to prepare his compassion. He immediately follows this by affirming that we are born for each other, and that to feel annoyance or anger at another person is a choice that harms our own nature. The other person's error is their burden, but your judgment is yours to carry or to release. Picture a common moment of frustration when another driver cuts you off in traffic. The immediate, automatic judgment is one of personal offense, that they are reckless, arrogant, or intentionally disrespectful. This story you tell yourself triggers a surge of anger, tightening your chest and ruining your mood for the next several miles. Now apply the Stoic lens of understanding. Suspend that initial judgment and consider alternative explanations. Perhaps that driver is not malicious but terrified, rushing to a hospital. Perhaps they are a new parent, sleep-deprived and distracted by a crying baby. Perhaps they simply made a clumsy mistake, the same kind you have made yourself. The event, the car changing lanes, remains the same, but the story you attach to it transforms it from a personal insult into a neutral, or even pitiable human moment. Your anger dissipates because its fuel, the judgment of malice, has been removed. Think of a recent time you felt personally wronged or irritated by someone close to you. Perhaps a friend made a critical remark or a family member forgot a promise. What was the story you told yourself about their intentions? Now, try to reframe that event with a more compassionate explanation. What if they were speaking from a place of their own insecurity or stress? What if their forgetfulness stemmed from being overwhelmed, not from a lack of care for you? This is not about letting people walk all over you, but about freeing yourself from the corrosive inner poison of constant judgment. When you choose understanding over condemnation, you are not just being kinder to them, you are gifting peace to yourself. The Stoics saw the universe not as chaotic, but as an ordered, rational whole. This cosmic intelligence, which they called the Logos, was the divine reason weaving through all of nature, from the vast orbits of the planets to the smallest blade of grass. To them, nothing was random or meaningless. Every event, even the most difficult, was a single thread in a grand, beautiful tapestry. Aligning your personal will with this universal reason is the source of profound inner harmony. It is the difference between trying to swim against a powerful current and turning to flow with it, discovering a grace and power you never had while fighting. Marcus Aurelius constantly returned to this idea for strength, writing in his Meditations, "What does not benefit the hive is no benefit to the bee." He saw his own life as an integral part of a larger organism, and his purpose was to contribute to the health of the whole, not to demand that the whole conform to his personal desires. This perspective transforms your relationship with reality itself. You stop seeing setbacks as personal attacks from a hostile universe and start seeing them as necessary turns in a river whose course you cannot see but can trust is flowing toward an ocean. The philosopher Cleans, in his beautiful hymn to Zeus, praised this divine logos that guides the cosmos with perfect reason, writing, "No deed is done on earth, God, without your offices." This is not a passive surrender, but an active cooperation with a reality far wiser than our limited individual plans. Consider the simple, undeniable rhythm of the seasons. We do not rage against the falling leaves of autumn or the cold silence of winter. We understand these phases are essential for the rebirth of spring. The tree does not fight the loss of its leaves, it lets them go, trusting in the cycle of which it is a part. In the same way, a career setback, a period of illness, or a personal loss can be seen as a kind of winter in your own life. It is a necessary contraction, a time of quiet and regrouping that prepares the soil for a new kind of growth you cannot yet imagine. Fighting this cycle is as futile and exhausting as shouting at the snow. Accepting it as part of a larger, rational pattern allows you to conserve your energy for what comes next. Bring to mind one recent event that felt like a disruption, a moment where your plans were thrown into disarray. Your initial judgment likely framed it as a mistake or a failure. Now pause and consider it through this Stoic lens. Can you look for the larger pattern? Did this disruption, perhaps, force you to slow down when you were moving too fast? Did it close one door so that your attention was redirected to another, more meaningful path that you had been ignoring? The event itself remains the same, but your story about it shifts from being a random piece of bad luck to being a potentially purposeful part of your journey. When you see yourself as a single leaf on the world tree, your personal storms become easier to weather. The Stoics intentionally sought discomfort to inoculate themselves against fortune's surprises. This practice, known as voluntary discomfort, was a core part of their training for a resilient mind. It was never about self-punishment or denying the goodness of life. Instead, it was a deliberate and strategic exercise, much like a fire drill. You do not run a fire drill because you want the building to burn down. You do it so that if a real fire ever comes, you are prepared, calm, and know exactly what to do. The Stoics were conducting regular fire drills for the soul, ensuring that when life's inevitable hardships arrived, they would not be paralyzed by fear. The Roman statesman Cato the Younger was famous for this. He would walk through the Forum in Rome dressed in an outdated and simple toga, deliberately drawing ridicule to practice his indifference to public opinion. He would go bareheaded in the heat and the rain, toughening his body and spirit against small inconveniences so that larger ones would hold no power over him. His contemporary, the teacher Musonius Rufus, argued that practicing poverty is the only way to be truly safe from it. He said, "If you would be healthy, practice the life of a sick person." His point was profound. By willingly experiencing a small taste of what you fear, you drain the fear itself of its terrifying power. You discover a fundamental truth: you can handle it. Your peace was never dependent on that external comfort in the first place. In our modern world, this translates into simple, accessible practices. It could be as straightforward as taking a cold shower for the final 30 seconds of your morning routine. That initial shock is a miniature rehearsal for facing an unexpected setback with composure. It could be skipping a meal once in a while, not for dieting, but to remind yourself that hunger is a temporary sensation, not an emergency. You might choose to walk instead of drive for a short errand, or to sleep on a firmer surface for a single night. The goal is not to suffer, but to prove to yourself, through direct experience, that your well-being is not held hostage by perfect conditions. This week, choose one small, voluntary discomfort to introduce into your life. It should be safe, manageable, and brief. Perhaps forego your usual morning coffee, or leave your phone in another room for an evening. As you do it, pay close attention to what happens inside you. Do you feel a sharp craving, a mental protest, and then what follows? Do you find that after the initial resistance passes, you are still there, still whole, still fundamentally okay? This small act is a declaration of independence, a quiet way of telling fortune that its surprises have lost their sting. Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one. Now, this command from Marcus Aurelius cuts to the heart of the Stoic focus on the present moment. Your life is not a rehearsal for some future performance where you will finally act with virtue. It is happening here, in this very breath. Anxiety is almost always a time traveler, haunting you with regrets from a past you cannot change or projecting fears onto a future you cannot predict. The present moment, by stark contrast, is the only territory where your power is absolute, the only place where your actions and your character can truly reside. Marcus Aurelius constantly anchored himself in this truth, writing in his Meditations, "Confine yourself to the present." He reminds himself that the past is already a memory and the future is a mere impression, neither has any substance. The present, however, is real and it is sufficient. It holds the raw material for your next virtuous act. Consider a simple, modern scenario. You are in a conversation with a friend, but your mind is elsewhere. Part of you is rehashing a stressful work meeting from hours ago, while another part is anxiously planning how to tackle a project deadline tomorrow. The person in front of you is speaking, but you are only half listening. You are physically present, but mentally you are time traveling, and in doing so, you are missing the entire point of the interaction. The Stoic practice is to pull your mind back, to anchor it entirely in the present task, which in this case is to listen, to truly hear the words, to see the person's expressions, to be fully there. The work meeting is gone, the deadline is not yet here. The only thing that is real and the only thing you can control is your attention and your response in this single, fleeting moment. This is where virtue lives. Try it right now for just 1 minute. Set everything else aside. Do not worry about what comes after this minute or what happened before it. Focus your entire awareness on your breathing. Feel the air entering your lungs, the slight pause, and the gentle release. Your mind will inevitably wander, pulling you into a past thought or a future worry. When you notice this, do not judge it. Simply, gently guide your attention back to the breath. This is not a meditation exercise for its own sake. It is a fundamental rehearsal for life. You are practicing the Stoic art of dwelling in the present, of showing up for your own existence. In that space, there is no anxiety about what has been or what might be. There is only the quiet, powerful sufficiency of now, and the freedom to be the person you decide to be in this very moment. Each night, the Stoics engaged in a quiet conversation with themselves. This was not a time for self-criticism, but for clear-eyed reflection, a daily ritual of self-examination designed to polish the character like a whetstone sharpens a blade. Seneca, in his letters, detailed this practice with beautiful precision. He wrote that he would question his own soul each evening, asking, "What evils have you cured today? What faults have you resisted? In what way are you better?" This nightly review was his method of holding himself accountable, not to the world, but to his own evolving standard of virtue. It turns the abstract ideal of a good life into a tangible, daily project. The goal is not to achieve perfection in a single day, but to notice the small, incremental shifts, to catch yourself in a moment of patience where you might have once been irritable, or to acknowledge a lapse in judgment without letting it define you. This practice cultivates a profound self-awareness, the kind that allows you to see your own patterns clearly, to take ownership of your reactions, and to gently steer your moral compass back toward true north. To bring this into your own life, you can adopt a simple three-part structure for your own evening review. First, ask yourself, where did I act in alignment with my values today? Perhaps you demonstrated patience with a difficult colleague, or you chose honesty in a situation where a lie would have been easier. Acknowledge that success, however small. Second, and this requires gentle honesty, ask, where did I stray from virtue? Did I act out of jealousy? Was I unnecessarily harsh in my judgment of someone? Did I waste time on trivial anxieties? The key is to observe these moments without the poison of self-flagellation. See the error simply as a data point, a misstep in your training, not a fatal flaw. Finally, ask, how can I learn from this to improve tomorrow? If you were impatient today, what one small action could prepare you for more patience tomorrow? Maybe it is a deeper breath before responding, or a conscious effort to see the situation from the other person's perspective. This closes the loop, turning reflection into a plan for growth. Tonight, before you sleep, try this for just 5 minutes. Find a quiet space and mentally walk through your day with this 3-question frame. You do not need to write anything down, though a brief journal can make the insights more concrete. Approach yourself not as a judge, but as a compassionate coach, identifying both the strengths to celebrate and the weaknesses to strengthen. This nightly audit is how you become the active architect of your own character, building your inner citadel one examined day at a time. In Stoicism, health and wealth are not good, they are merely preferred indifferents. This term can feel jarring at first, deliberately so. It dismantles our automatic assumption that a comfortable life is a good life. A preferred indifferent is something that has practical value and is naturally preferable, but it holds no moral weight. Its true worth is determined solely by how it is used, by the virtue or vice it serves. A sharp knife is not inherently good. It becomes so in the hands of a skilled surgeon and dangerous in the hands of a thief. The knife itself is indifferent. The character of the one who wields it is everything. Epictetus drew a powerful distinction to make this clear. He said, we are like actors in a play. We do not get to choose our role, whether we are given the part of a wealthy king or a poor beggar. That is the material, the external circumstance provided by the director, the universe. Our sole task, our only true responsibility, is to play our assigned role well. The beggar can act with more grace, courage, and dignity than the king. The quality of your performance is what matters, not the costume you wear. Consider two people standing side by side. One possesses immense wealth, a thriving social life, and perfect health. The other lives in poverty, is largely alone, and battles a chronic illness. Our modern conditioning immediately labels the first person as successful and happy, the second as a failure. The Stoic sees a different picture. The first individual, for all their advantages, may be consumed by anxiety, using their wealth to indulge every passing whim and their social status to mask a deep insecurity. They are vicious in their wealth. The second person, despite their hardships, may radiate a profound inner peace, meeting each day with resilience, treating the few people they encounter with unwavering kindness, and finding deep satisfaction in small, meaningful acts. They are virtuous in their poverty. Their external circumstances are the complete opposite, yet the quality of their character, and therefore their capacity for true happiness, is entirely independent of those conditions. The externals did not determine their state of being, their use of them did. Bring this into your own world for a moment. What are 3 preferred indifferents in your life right now? Perhaps it is your job title, your physical fitness, or the comfort of your home. Now look past the object itself and consider its use. Is that job title a platform for you to act with integrity and contribute meaningfully, or is it merely a source of status you cling to for validation? Is your physical health a vessel you maintain to engage fully with life and help others, or is it an idol of vanity that causes you to judge yourself and others harshly? The object remains the same, but your relationship to it, the virtue you bring to it, transforms its role in your life from a potential master to a willing servant. Stoic Apatheia is often misunderstood. It is not about feeling nothing, but about mastering destructive emotions. It is the cultivation of inner freedom from the irrational, excessive passions that hijack our reason and plunge the soul into turmoil. Think of it not as emotional numbness, but as emotional clarity, a state where your feelings are thoughtful responses, not overwhelming reactions. The Stoics classified these overwhelming passions, things like raging anger, consuming fear, or frantic desire, as diseases of the soul that required a kind of philosophical therapy. They were not flaws of character to be ashamed of, but errors in judgment to be corrected. Seneca described anger as a temporary madness, a brief insanity that makes us strangers to ourselves. The goal of apatheia is to heal these diseases, to restore the mind to a state of clear, calm judgment from which you can see reality as it is, not as your fears or desires distort it. Imagine you are in a tense meeting and a colleague unfairly dismisses your idea in front of everyone. The immediate, passionate response is a surge of hot anger, a desire to retaliate, to defend your wounded pride. This passion is a storm clouding your vision. The practice of apatheia is the moment you consciously pause before that storm breaks. You feel the heat of the emotion, but you do not let it command your tongue. You engage your reason, asking, what is actually happening here? Is their dismissal a factual critique I can learn from, or is it a reflection of their own insecurity? From that place of reasoned assessment, your response changes entirely. Instead of a sharp, defensive retort, you might calmly ask for their specific concerns, or you might simply note the disagreement and table the discussion for later. The event was the same, but your inner state was not one of chaotic reaction, but of composed response. What is the one passion that most frequently disturbs your own peace? Is it a simmering anger in traffic, a gnawing anxiety about your performance, or a consuming envy of another's success? Identify it, and then, just for a moment, consider the possibility of a different relationship with it. What would a reasoned, rather than a passionate, response to that trigger look like? This is not about suppressing a part of yourself, but about choosing which part of yourself, the reactive passion or the reasoning mind, gets to steer your life. Stoic happiness is not solitary. It is deeply connected to our role in the human community. This brings us to a beautiful and essential Stoic principle known as Oikeiosis, the natural process of recognizing our inherent affinity and duty to other human beings. The Stoics argued that we are not isolated islands, but part of a single continent. Our rational nature is what binds us together, and this bond creates a profound duty to act with justice and benevolence for the common good. To be virtuous is not just to master your own mind, but to extend that same care and reason outward, seeing the welfare of others as inseparable from your own. The philosopher Hierocles illustrated this with his famous circles of concern. He asked us to imagine a series of concentric circles. In the very center is your own mind. The next circle holds your immediate family, then your extended family, your local community, your country, and finally, the outermost circle encompasses all of humanity. The practice of Oikeiosis is the work of consciously drawing those outer circles inward, bringing the same concern you feel for yourself to your neighbor, to a fellow citizen, and ultimately, to every human being across the globe. This is not a call for overwhelming self-sacrifice, but for a gradual expansion of empathy. It starts with the people right in front of you. A practical expression of this could be as simple as holding a door open for a stranger struggling with packages, or truly listening to a coworker without the distraction of your phone, offering them the gift of your full presence. It is in these small, daily acts of kindness that we actively contract hierarchical circles, making the world feel a little more like a home for everyone. So, as you move through your day, hold this question gently in your mind. What is one small, intentional action I can take to benefit my immediate community or a stranger? It does not need to be grand. A genuine smile, an offer of help, or a patient moment of understanding can be a powerful ripple, extending the fortress of your inner peace to include those around you. Look back at the ruins of empires. The Stoics remind us that all externals are equally fleeting. The marble palaces of Rome are now tourist attractions. The vast treasuries of kings have long since been scattered, and the applause that once thundered for gladiators has fallen into an eternal silence. The Stoics trained themselves to see this impermanence not as a tragedy, but as the fundamental nature of the world. By deeply internalizing the temporary lease we hold on everything outside our control, we can stop clutching at sand and start building on stone. This perspective is a powerful lens for re-evaluating what truly lasts, shifting our focus from the temporary to the eternal, which is our own virtuous character. No matter what is lost, your integrity, your courage, your wisdom, these cannot be taken from you by time or fortune. Seneca wrote with piercing clarity on this very point, warning of the folly in trusting the gifts of fortune. He observed, "What fortune has made yours is not your own." The riches, the social standing, the very health we often see as personal property are merely on loan from a capricious lender who can demand them back at any moment without notice. To build your happiness on such an unstable foundation is to build your house on the beach, watching the tide creep ever closer. We see this truth play out constantly in our modern world. Consider the rapid and public rise and fall of many celebrities, catapulted to fame and fortune only to see it evaporate with the next news cycle or a shift in public opinion. Or reflect on the personal financial fluctuations so many experience, where a market downturn or an unexpected expense can dramatically alter a lifestyle that once felt secure. These are not anomalies, they are illustrations of the rule. The externals we chase are inherently unstable. To practice this, take a moment and bring to mind one possession or status you deeply value. It could be your job title, your car, or even a cherished family heirloom. Now close your eyes and vividly visualize it as already gone. Feel the sense of absence, the initial pang of loss. Then open your eyes and look inward. Notice that you are still here, your core self remains intact. Your ability to choose wisely, to act justly, to perceive the world with clarity, none of that has been diminished. This mental rehearsal of loss is not morbid, it is a liberation. It proves to you in a deeply personal way where your true and unshakable value actually resides. In a world of constant noise, the Stoics found wisdom in purposeful silence. This practice was not about isolation or loneliness, but a deliberate retreat from the crowd to strengthen the one voice that truly matters, your own. Solitude offered them a sacred space, free from the opinions and demands of others, where they could converse with their deepest principles and return to the world with renewed clarity and conviction. Marcus Aurelius, despite the endless clamor of leading an empire, made this a cornerstone of his life. He wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can a person find a more peaceful and untroubled retreat than in his own soul." For him, this was not a physical escape to a quiet room, but a mental discipline of turning inward, accessing a wellspring of peace that no external noise could ever disturb. You can cultivate this same space in your own modern life. It begins with small, intentional acts, a daily walk without headphones, where the only sound is your own breathing and the rhythm of your steps. A few minutes of morning meditation before the day's demands begin, or a scheduled digital detox, an hour where screens go dark, creating a quiet vacuum that your own thoughts can finally fill. This is not about adding another task to your day, but about carving out a sanctuary for your mind to simply be. I challenge you to schedule just 10 minutes of uninterrupted silence today. Find a quiet spot, set a timer, and simply sit. Do not try to force your mind blank or achieve any special state. Just observe the flow of your thoughts without judgment, as if you were watching clouds drift across a sky. In that quiet space, you are not alone. You are in the company of your truest self. Criticism stings, but the Stoics developed a shield of reason against it. They understood that the sharpness of an insult is not in the words themselves, but in the meaning we assign to them. Epictetus, who faced a lifetime of degradation before achieving fame as a philosopher, offered an unshakable principle. He said, "Remember, it is not the person who insults you or strikes you that harms you, but the view you take of these events as being harmful. The harm is a choice you make, a story you agree to believe." This does not mean you become a passive recipient of all feedback. The Stoic approach requires a swift and rational triage. You must learn to distinguish between the constructive critique that offers a path to growth and the malicious slander that is meant only to wound. The first is a tool you can use to sharpen your character. The second is merely noise, the clatter of someone else's poor judgment that you have no obligation to internalize. Imagine a professional scenario. Your manager calls you into a meeting and points out that a recent report you submitted contained several factual inaccuracies. The automatic, defensive reaction is to feel attacked, to see this as a challenge to your competence. Your heart races and you prepare your justifications. The Stoic, however, pauses that emotional cascade. They apply reason first. They separate the event, the manager's words, from their judgment of it. The manager's intention is not necessarily to harm, but to correct, to maintain the quality of the team's work. The factual inaccuracies are an objective reality, not a personal failing. From this calm center, you can respond not with defensiveness, but with curiosity. You can ask for specific examples, you can thank them for bringing it to your attention, and you can create a plan to double-check your data in the future. The criticism becomes a free lesson in improvement, a gift that strengthens your skills rather than an arrow that weakens your spirit. Now bring this into your own life. Think of a recent criticism you received, whether from a colleague, a friend, or a family member. Recall the initial sting. Now, take a step back and analyze it with the objectivity of a Stoic philosopher. Set the emotion aside and look only at the facts of the statement. Was there any truth hidden within it, any kernel of useful feedback that could genuinely help you grow? If there was, that is the part you gratefully accept and act upon. If, after this examination, you find it was pure malice or ignorance, then you have your answer. That criticism belongs entirely to the other person, a reflection of their own turmoil. Your only job is to leave it with them, undisturbed and powerless to disrupt your inner peace. The Stoics' purpose is simple yet profound: to live consistently with nature. This ultimate goal, their telos, is not about retreating to a remote forest. It means aligning your own rational nature with the grand, rational order of the cosmos itself, the logos. To live according to nature is to use your unique human gift of reason to perceive the world clearly and to choose actions that are virtuous, just, and for the common good. Your personal reason becomes a conscious extension of universal reason. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno, defined the good life in precisely these terms, stating that happiness is a smooth flow of life, achieved when we live in concordance with nature. This harmony is the source of the unshakable contentment we have been exploring. Every virtuous choice you make is a note that resonates with the music of the universe, while every vice is a discordant sound. This principle transforms mundane decisions into meaningful exercises in alignment. Consider the simple, everyday choice to be completely honest in a situation where a small, convenient lie would go unnoticed. Perhaps you receive too much change from a cashier. The easy path is to pocket the money, justifying it as their mistake. The path according to nature, however, engages your rational faculty. You reason that justice and fairness are virtues inherent to a well-ordered world and a well-ordered soul. To keep the money would be an act of theft, however small, creating a crack in your integrity and acting against the social nature that binds us all. Returning the money is not just about the coins, it is an active reaffirmation of your place within a rational and interconnected whole. It is a small but powerful declaration that your inner state is governed by principle, not by petty gain. So, bring your yesterday into focus for a moment. Review your actions not with harsh judgment but with gentle curiosity. Were your choices in both small and significant matters in harmony with your best, most rational self? Did they contribute to the good of your immediate world? The answer is not a final verdict but a compass reading, guiding you toward your next step on the path of a life well lived. For the Stoic, obstacles are not blockades but the very material for building resilience. Every challenge you face is the gymnasium where your soul develops its strength, a necessary training ground for the virtues you wish to embody. It is in the friction of difficulty that character is revealed and forged, not in the smooth, untroubled passages of an easy life. Seneca captured this with his powerful metaphor, writing, "Fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men." Just as a forge uses intense heat to purify metal and remove its impurities, life uses hardship to test and reveal the strength of your inner character. The struggle is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is the essential process of becoming right, of tempering your spirit into something unbreakable. Consider an athlete sidelined by a significant injury. The external event, the torn ligament or the broken bone, is a massive setback. The automatic reaction could be despair, a feeling that their career is over. But an athlete with a Stoic mindset sees this same event as a different kind of training camp. While their body heals, they have a unique opportunity to build a part of their mind that was previously neglected. They practice the virtue of patience with the slow, frustrating pace of physical therapy. They cultivate discipline by adhering to a strict rehabilitation regimen when no one is watching. They exercise courage by facing the fear of re-injury and returning to their sport. The injury did not break them, it diversified their strength, building a mental fortitude that will sustain them long after the physical body has fully recovered. The adversity became their most important coach. Now, bring this lens to a current difficulty in your own life. It might be a stressful project at work, a tense family dynamic, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Instead of viewing it as a pure problem to be eliminated, reframe it as a specific training ground. Ask yourself, What virtue is this situation asking me to develop? If it is frustration with delays, perhaps this is your gym for patience. If it is fear of an outcome, this is your practice field for courage. If it is the temptation to act unfairly, this is your workshop for integrity. The circumstance itself has not changed, but your relationship to it transforms entirely. You are no longer a victim of a random hardship. You are an active participant in your own growth, using the rough stone of challenge to sharpen the blade of your character. Happiness was never meant to be found in the world, but engineered within the self. This is the enduring promise of Stoicism, a philosophy that offers not a set of abstract ideas, but a practical toolkit for building a life of unshakable contentment. The journey we have taken reveals a single, powerful thread. True happiness is an internal achievement, constructed from the materials of virtue, reason, and a clear-eyed acceptance of reality. It stands independent of the ever-changing conditions of our external lives. We learn to draw the crucial line between what is and is not within our command, the dichotomy of control, freeing our energy for what truly matters. We explored the art of cognitive sovereignty, mastering our judgments to find peace in any circumstance. We discovered that virtue alone is the sole good, while health, wealth, and reputation are merely preferred indifferents, tools whose value depends entirely on how we use them. We practiced loving our fate with Amor Fati, seeing every obstacle as fuel for our growth, and we fortified our inner citadel, a sanctuary of character that no external storm can breach. These principles are not relics, they are a living system for navigating the complexities of modern life with grace and resilience. The Stoic teacher Epictetus, who knew profound hardship, left us with a final, empowering truth. He said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle: some things are within our control, and some things are not. This understanding is the master key. It unlocks a life where your peace is no longer held hostage by fortune's whims. This wisdom is now yours to wield." As you move forward, consider this simple, reflective question: which one Stoic practice will you choose to integrate into your life this very week? Will it be the evening review of your day, a moment of voluntary discomfort to test your resilience, or a conscious effort to apply the view from above to a current worry? The choice to build your own happiness begins with a single, deliberate action. If this path of practical wisdom resonates with you, and you wish to continue exploring how to live with greater clarity and purpose, we invite you to join our community by subscribing for more insights into the art of living well.